Hello, I'm Joyce Mink, Theater Director at St. Dominic's Savio.
And I'm Anne-Marie Weiss, Assistant Director.
When we realized we would have to postpone our musical for a second time because of COVID, we began brainstorming a theater project that we could do. After reading many really terrible virtual plays, we came upon some old radio plays from the 40s and 50s that we could rehearse easily over Zoom. Focusing on voice work would also be a new and interesting challenge for our group.
Another opportunity these radio dramas gave us was creating sound effects to enhance the performances. Figuring out which objects would make the right noises for our shows was challenging and fun. Our setting is a radio station from the 50s, where our voice actors and Foley artists will bring two mysteries to life. We hope you enjoy the show.
Good evening, this is your host, Sandra James, bringing you Agatha Christie's Poirot. From the thrill-packed pages of Agatha Christie's unforgettable stories of corpses, clues, and crime, Armour hot dogs and Popsicle now bring you, complete with bowler hat and brave mustache, your favorite detective, Hercule Poirot, and the case of the careless victim. Before meeting Hercule Poirot and his first American adventure, it seems only fitting for the millions of faithful readers who have followed the little Belgian detective's career in book form to meet the famous lady who created this famous character. So it is our privilege to present a message from Agatha Christie introducing Hercule Poirot from London, England. The next voice you will hear will be Miss Agatha Christie's. Go ahead, London. I feel that this is an occasion that would have appealed to Hercule Poirot. He would have done justice to the inauguration of this radio program, and he might even have made it seem something of an international event. However, as he's heavily engaged on an investigation about which you will hear in due course, I must, as one of his oldest friends, deputize for him. The great man has his little foibles, but really I have the greatest affection for him. And it is a great source of continuing satisfaction to me that there has been such a generous response to his appearance on my books, and I hope that his new career on the radio will make many new friends for him among a wider public. Thank you, Miss Agatha Christie. And now, Mutual presents Hercule Poirot and the first American adventure, The Case of the Careless Victim.
Mademoiselle?
Huh?
This is the Cozy Room Apartment Renting Agency, eh?
When we got something to rent, yeah.
I have the desire to rent an apartment.
Who hasn't?
Please, mademoiselle, do not jest. Alone, I have with me a brief dossier of my requirements. Please to read it.
Well, all right. Gentleman desires a bright sun-shining apartment of a reasonable quaintness near the heart of the city. Should be furnished with the utmost charm, provincial, if possible. Price is of no consequence as long as very reasonable. Huh. Please communicate with me at the Hotel Windsor, Hercule, P-O-I-R-O-T, Poirot.
No, mademoiselle. The name is Poirot. Hercule Poirot.
Well, I wish you luck, Mr. Poirot.
Finding an apartment, mademoiselle, is not a matter of luck. It is a matter of employing the little grey cells. If you can find an apartment for me, please do me the kindness to inform me.
Sure, if you'll do something for me.
And what is that?
If you can find an apartment like that, please inform me. Ha!
Going up. Floor, please.
Number 5. You are new here, no?
Yes, sir. Only came on yesterday. You're Mr. Poirot, aren't you?
Poirot.
Well, Poirot, one of the boys pointed you out. Here you go. 5th floor.
A thousand apologies, madame.
Not at all. It was entirely my fault.
Madame appears troubled. Perhaps I may be of some slight assistance?
No, well, if you're sure you don't mind.
But of course not.
You see, it's my door. It won't open.
And where is this obstinate door, eh?
Why, it's right down the corridor, room 515.
If I may have the key?
But that's just it. The door isn't locked. I left it open only 10 minutes ago.
Indeed, Madame is very trusting, eh?
Here it is. You see, it's stuck. It won't budge.
It is not precisely stuck, Madame. It gives a trifle. This door is barricaded.
Oh my goodness.
Voila. She moves, eh?
Oh, thanks a million. Now, what do you suppose?
Now wait, Madame. Perhaps it is a better idea if I look first. Alas! It is as I have feared.
What is it?
You do not know? Look!
Oh, it is a man. Is he?
Oui, Madame. He has been murdered. This is murder. Zut alors, I must compliment you, Madame. Your color, it is excellent. And you did not even commence to faint. For one who seems
I don't fall apart in a crisis, if that's what you mean. And furthermore, I'm not Madame, I'm Mademoiselle. By choice, Miss Abigail Fletcher. And now, if you'll get that corpse out of here, I'd like to sit down.
That I regret. I cannot do, Mademoiselle. The body must not be touched before the police arrive.
Police?
Well, yes, of course, the police. I am calling them now. Hello? Hello? Inspector Stevens. It is I, Hercule Poirot. Alas, no. I have not yet found the apartment. But I have found something of perhaps more interest. A corpse. Right here, in my hotel. Room number...
515.
Number 5... Mademoiselle! What are you doing with the body?
Nothing. I was just trying to see his face.
You will have that opportunity later. Pardon, Inspector. We are room number 15. Bien. We shall expect you immediately. Bien, Miss Fletcher. Now that you have observed the face of this unfortunate one, perhaps you will be good enough to tell me who he is?
I certainly will not. Who do you think you are?
Mademoiselle, permit me to present myself. I am Hercule Poirot, formerly chief of the Belgian Surete.
Yeah, that's what you say. Now look, Mr. Poirot, I've read plenty of detective stories, and none of them had a detective that looked anything like you. I'll wait for the police to arrive and let them ask the questions.
As you desire, mademoiselle. I merely wish to point out one thing. It is you the police will question first.
Me?
But of course, you are the most likely suspect, no?
Well, all right, what do you want to know?
First, what are you doing here in this hotel?
Why, I've lived here for 10 solid years.
And what do you do? What is your occupation?
Why, I don't have any occupation. I've got a little income, and I like it here in New York. In the last few years, I've been doing war work, Red Cross and things like that.
You seem a trifle vague, mademoiselle. Now, about this man. Who is he?
I don't know. I never saw him before in my life.
Mademoiselle, I advise you to consider your answers with care. Do not forget, a man lays dead in this room.
And I can't help that. I don't know who he is or how he got you. Caught here. I told you I was just out of the room for 10 minutes.
That may be, Miss Fletcher, but it does not help you. This man has been dead for at least 1 hour.
And how do you know?
If you will touch the body, you will observe it is already beginning to cool. Therefore, mademoiselle, if you left this room only 10 minutes ago, your situation is indeed grave. For this man was already dead.
Oh, but I couldn't have done it.
So? And why not?
Because his body was lying right across this doorway. You know perfectly well I couldn't get out through this doorway and still leave a body wedged against it. Belgian surety, indeed.
Very good, mademoiselle. But you could have murdered him in here, made your departure by way of this fire escape through the room overhead, and come down inside the building in this corridor, where you so innocently made my acquaintance. You see, there is evidence that the fire escape has been recently used. Now it is not so amusing, eh?
Well, I don't care. I had nothing to do with this, and I know you detectives. You're out to get a suspect, and just because a man was murdered in my
Gently, mademoiselle. All is not lost. Fortunately, you deal with Hercule Poirot, who goes one step beyond the obvious. You see, this poor fellow was not murdered in your room. He was murdered in the room overhead.
But why? Why kill him upstairs and leave him on my doorstep?
That, mademoiselle, we shall consider in due course. Now that we have you safely outside of your room, we will go downstairs. I do not think it will be necessary for you to go anywhere else. You may come with me, where we will go with my friend Inspector Stevens. He will see that you are comfortably sheltered for the night.
Oh, tell me, Mr. Poirot, how'd you figure out that the murder took place upstairs?
It is not apparent, Miss Fletcher. Please, to squeeze the bell for the elevator. I look out of your window and observe. There is on the fire escapes. And what do I find? Everywhere the dust reposes peacefully.
Well, naturally. The help is too busy to polish fire escapes.
Ah, mademoiselle. But one stairway, the one leading up from your window, all is disarranged. There is a broad, clear path through the dust, and it is precisely the width of a human body. And since the path extends only to the floor above, it is obvious the body has been dragged down from room 615. Also, on the garments of the dead man, the trousers, the left elbow, and across the shoulders, there are unmistakable traces of rust. Voila, the elevator.
Going down?
Monsieur, would you be so good as to explain why you were so long in arriving?
Oh, it's this old car. Every once in a while it goes on the fritz.
Goma on the fritz?
Out of order.
Ah.
Yeah, it got stuck on the ninth.
You have been on the ninth floor all this time.
Yeah, that's right.
That is difficult to believe.
Why?
Because the indicator has been pointing to the basement.
Ah, that indicator. Soon as anything goes wrong, it flops.
I am not sure that is true of the indicator, but unquestionably, monsieur, it is too true of the clever murder. As soon as anything goes wrong, it flops. Ah, bien, Inspector Stevens. There is the situation. An unknown man strangled to death in one room and dragged down the fire escape to another.
Poirot, if this body is the person I think it is, the commissioner will have my head.
Mon ami, forgive me, you seem agitated.
And we were warned too. I assigned my best man to guard him, the smartest cop on the force, Sam Treble. For Pete's sakes, Poirot, there'll be an international scandal.
Gently, mon ami. You go too fast, even for Hercule Poirot. You say there will be an international scandal. Who is this magnificent figure of international importance?
Parrish. Jonathan Parrish.
Parrish. Ah, oui. The name rings a bell. He is the big currency expert, eh?
That's right. He's on his way to Europe to set up the new paper currencies for liberated countries. Checked in at the winter today. Was supposed to pick up some papers, dyes, and inks, and then have a bomber tonight.
Fifth floor, please. An enormous undertaking, and one of great importance.
And I was responsible for his safety. He's supposed to be an eccentric sort of guy. No photographs, no publicity. Trumbull was the only man on the force who knew him at all. And Trumbull failed. You see what this means, Poirot?
I see only this, my friend. We have arrived at the first step in the solution of this distressing murder. For now we know the motive. This way, Inspector. This is the room. Mademoiselle Fletcher, your key.
Oh, here you are.
I'll never live this down.
You exaggerate, mon ami. Even the best of men sometimes fail. Regard, Inspector. Here's your corpse.
They certainly did a job. Thunderation?
You are shocked, monsieur.
Poirot, do you realize what's happened?
But of course, Inspector, it is not Jonathan Parrish that has been murdered, but your own faithful policeman, Sam Tremble.
Poirot, that's not very funny. You knew it all the time?
Pardon, mon ami. I knew nothing of the sort.
But you distinctly told me that it
No,
was...
Inspector. You told me. To me, the dead body was an unknown corpse. It could be anyone. But when you speak of two men, one a wealthy financier of international importance, the other a police officer, by employing the little grey cells, it is not difficult to conclude that a corpse with the large, high, comfortable shoes and the plain suit is the policeman.
Oh, of course. I'm sorry.
Monsieur, there is no time for these profuse apologies.
You're right. We've got to get to Parrish at once. The poor guy doesn't even know his bodyguard's gone. Hello? Hello? Operator. What room is Jonathan Parrish in? Eh? 615? Hold on. Poirot, that's the room directly over this one, where
Precisely.
Trumbull was killed.
Precisely.
Operator, let me talk to Mr. Parrish.
I think that you will find that the gentleman does not answer.
Why not?
Obviously. He would not witness a murder without reporting it. On the other hand, murder does not go
For
too
Pete's
far.
sakes, Poirot! Do you think he's dead too? We know he received a warning from Hilary Kent.
I do not follow you, mon ami.
Huh? Oh, I don't blame you. Hilary Kent is a criminal egomaniac.
Ah, one who commits a crime chiefly for the pleasure of baffling the police, eh?
Exactly. Well, this Hilary Kent, or someone who calls himself Hilary Kent, is one of those guys. He pulled off a few clever jobs and got away with them. We don't know anything about who he is. He's got to get his job out of every... You got to get his thrill out of every job. So it makes it a rule to warn his victims.
Ah, me. I know the type. And Monsieur Parrish, I take it, has received such a warning.
Right. Now you see why I assigned my best man?
Ah, bien. But now, we must hasten upstairs to Mr. Parrish's room. Already it may be too late.
I will go too. I don't want to stay here with this body.
You'll stay right here, Miss Fletcher, until I give you permission.
Inspector, if you do not mind. Myself, I am not averse to Miss Fletcher's company. I find her very intriguing.
Oh, no answer.
But naturally, you do not expect a murderer to sit down and wait for us. You will have to employ the pass key.
Remember, Miss Fletcher, you're not to touch anything.
It's perfectly all right. I'm wearing gloves.
The inspector is thinking of fingerprints, moi? I do not think he will find any. Monsieur Kent, or whoever the killer may be, is too clever to leave any such traces.
Well, maybe. But I want to be sure we don't lose even the tiniest clue.
An excellent approach, mon ami. There are many interesting things we may learn here about Monsieur Parrish.
He certainly gets around a lot.
Oui, the labels on his luggage are from the four corners of the earth.
Miss Fletcher, I said you're not to touch anything.
For goodness sake, it's only a book.
Books may be of great significance. Ah, oui. This one, for example, it is no ordinary book. It is a stamp album of great value. Some of these stamps are almost without price. Ah, very interesting. This Guatemala blue.
Put up your hands, all of you.
Who are you? And what are
Don't
you?
move. I said don't move.
Have no fear, monsieur. I will not dispute the authority of your gun.
Stay tuned to see how Poirot gets out of this fix. But now a word from our sponsor, Armour Hot Dogs. Hot dogs, Armour hot dogs. What kinds of kids eat Armour hot dogs? Fat kids, skinny kids, kids who climb on rocks, tough kids, sissy kids, even kids with chicken pox love hot dogs. Armour hot dogs. The dogs kids love classic American hot dog for the classic American kids. Buy them today at your local grocer.
Mister, you can't get away with this. Put your gun down and talk fast. Who the devil are you?
But obviously, Inspector, this is the man we seek. Monsieur Jonathan Parrish.
That's just who I am. Alright, speak up. Which one of you is Hilary Kent?
Hilary Kent?
Yes?
Now wait a minute, Mr. Parrish. You've got this all wrong. I'm Inspector Stevens, Homicide Squad, and this is Hercule Poirot, the famous Belgian detective.
So you say. You don't look like a policeman to me, particularly that little squirt with the silly mustache.
Eh?
You stay right where you are till I check on you.
Ah, bien, Monsieur Parrish. Now that you are satisfied as to our identity...
Well, I've heard of you, of course. You're supposed to be the greatest French detective in the world.
Ah! Always people say that about me. Monsieur, but this is not entirely true. I am not French. I am Belgian.
Well, I wish you all get out of here and leave me alone. I'm expecting my daughter, and I don't want her running into a room full of policemen.
But monsieur, you are in great danger. You must be protected every single moment.
You offering me police protection? Not worth a hoot.
I beg your pardon,
That's just what I said, not worth a hoot. I have protection. Some detective they assigned to me. Now where is he?
He is dead.
What?
He was murdered in this very room while protecting you.
Therefore, if you do not object too violently, I shall undertake to protect you until you step aboard your airplane.
Alright, stay. I don't know how long it will be. I'm just waiting for one little parcel to be delivered, then I'm off.
Monsieur is taking with you, some equipment.
Yes, quite a load. I've already sent most of it off to the airport.
Ah, bon. That is good.
Miss, don't eat that chocolate. It may be poisoned.
Oh, nonsense. It's not poisoned.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too sure. That box of candy supposedly came from my daughter Laura. It was delivered a little while ago.
But you suspect she did not send it?
Well, she's supposed to come here in person. Should be here now, in fact. So why would she send it?
You are very shrewd, mon ami.
Hi, oh, excuse me.
Wait a minute. Johnny, come back here. What do you want?
Nothing. I just wanted to see if Mr. Parrish got his extra laundry box okay.
Yes, I received it.
Okay, excuse me.
I picked up a few more things to take along. Special dyes and inks. They'll just about fill up that laundry box. Excuse me, I've got to go into the bedroom and finish packing.
Crusty old bird, isn't he?
Well, how would you be if you knew someone was out to kill you? No wonder he's jittery.
Ah, he is irritable and nervous. That perhaps explains it.
Explains what?
Why he wears upon his feet the unique pair of socks, one of which is green and the other brown.
Alright, if the man wants to be eccentric, let him be. I've still got a murder to catch. You want to come along?
No, Inspector, I have attached myself to Monsieur Parrish, and I propose to see it that.
Come in!
Inspector, one of the men found this on the sidewalk outside the hotel. Thought you might want to take a look, before turning it into the lost and found.
Okay, Brady, thanks. A lady's purse. Usual assortment of stuff. Cosmetics, perfume, change, keys. You make anything of it, Poirot?
Sacre bleu!
What is it?
These initials! LP! Monsieur Parrish!
Yeah?
What did you say was the name of your charming daughter?
Laura.
Good gracious! LP! Laura Parrish!
Poirot, where are you going?
I have a little idea. Mademoiselle Fletcher, please to accompany me.
How about Mr. Parrish? You were so attached to him.
I have become momentarily de-attached. I leave him in your care, Inspector. Protect him with the apple of your eye. Come. It will not be the first time you have left the elevator unattended, Monsieur Johnny. Come along.
Mr. Poirot, you're wasting your time in this basement. Believe me.
Nevertheless, it interests me. Please, to light the way.
There's nothing here. Just a lot of ash cans.
One moment. What is behind that door?
Well, it's the laundry bin. They keep the soiled linen in there. You won't find anything in there.
Would you take one brief glance, eh?
There, you see? Nothing but a pile of dirty sheets and pillowcases.
Good gracious, what a laundry bill they must have.
Bien. Let us proceed to... one moment!
What is it?
Sacre bleu! Protruding from under the sheets!
Holy cow!
A foot. A small foot. This is what I fear.
Look!
Ah, it moves. Then we are not too late. Quickly, monsieur, help me to uncover her.
It's all I know, Mr. Poirot. I was walking along the street toward the hotel. Just as I passed the alley, I was pulled in. I tried to scream, but something was pressed against my mouth.
Chloroform, Miss Parrish. Had you seen your assailant, you would have seen Hilary Kent. Alors, Miss Parrish, you are most fortunate. Another few minutes under those linens, and you, who knows? Voila. Here is the room of your father. Inspector Stevens, here is Miss Parrish.
Oh, well that's a relief. Come in. I was afraid, Poirot, you turned up with a body. How'd you manage to find her?
That is not important now. We have found her. But we seem to have lost the father.
Oh, yes. Miss Parrish, I'm sorry. Your father's terribly upset about you. But his material was delivered and he had to rush off to the airport.
Oh, no. Don't tell me I missed him after all this.
Ah, moi. We have neglected you, eh, Miss Fletcher? Your room is now free of corpses. Please to take Mademoiselle Parrish down and extend to her the first aid.
Come along, Laura.
Thank you.
Inspector, I hope you do not later have cause to regret that you sent Parrish to go off to the airport unprotected.
He'll be alright. Besides, I got a job to do here. Although, frankly, I'm in a complete fog. I can't make a head or a tail of the whole business.
No, Stevens. The head and the tail we have.
What?
Yes, it is merely a fragment of the middle that we still lack.
Well, who is it? Hey, Poirot, where are you going?
To see how Miss Parrish is, and to telephone the airport to see what that Mr. Parrish receives the proper attention. Au revoir.
Mr. Poirot, where are you taking me now? I'd like to have some...
Mr. Poirot!
Hello? Someone calls.
It's Johnny in that parked car.
Mr. Poirot, I got a message for you from Inspector Stevens. He rushed off a minute ago.
From Stevens? What is it? What is the message?
He says he just got word that Mr. Parrish has been seriously hurt in an accident on North Salem Road.
Mon Dieu! This is too much!
You are to get there as fast as you can. Here's the address.
52 North Salem Road. Monsieur, your duties for the day are over?
Yeah.
And this is your vehicle?
Yeah? Why?
There is no time to seek a taxi, so I will impose on your kindness. Miss Fletcher, quickly, please.
Okay. North Salem Road, right?
No, to the airport.
What?
But Mr. Parrish isn't at the airport. He's injured on North Salem Road.
No, mademoiselle. That is what I was intended to believe. Do you not think so, Johnny? He is not there, I assure you.
How do you know?
Well, North Salem Road is not on the way to the airport. It is in the opposite direction. This is merely a trick to keep us from the flying field. We must hurry, before it is too late.
Will Poirot arrive in time? Stay tuned to find out after this message from our sponsor, Popsicle.
This program is brought to you by the makers of Popsicle, Fudgesicle, and Creamsicle. Those delicious confections on a stick. Now, I have a swell surprise for you. The winner of the typical American Girl contest has now become Popsicle Patty. And here's a message from her.
Hello, everybody. I sure am glad to meet you. I'm so happy I was picked to be the typical American girl, because now I'm Popsicle Patty. I always wanted to be on the radio, and now I have a chance to tell you about some wonderful presents you can get free. Gee, you ought to see them. Hundreds of them. You get them just for saving bags from popsicles, fudgesicles, and creamsicles. Some gifts, even better than Christmas. You can get a wristwatch, a movie camera, table tennis, a wallet, a doll. Gee, lots of gifts. Just save the bags from popsicles, fudgesicles, and creamsicles on a handy stick. Boy, do they taste good.
Wholesome, too. And nourishing. Made fresh every day from the finest ingredients. The biggest 5 cents worth anywhere.
And say, kids, get free illustrated popsicle gift list at your ice cream store today.
Well, the airplane is still there, but I don't see anything amiss.
Over there!
Parrish, as large as life!
Yep, that's him, alright.
Come along, please. Both of you. Monsieur Parrish!
Monsieur Poirot, my daughter, is she...
She is at the hotel, monsieur. Resting. He has had a small misadventure, but she is entirely safe.
Thank heavens.
You are relieved, eh?
I don't think I would have gotten on that plane if you hadn't found her. Fortunately, I didn't have to. They've been delayed a little.
Poirot!
Inspector Stevens, I knew you would not walk into the trap.
Yeah, but as usual, you beat me to it. I was halfway out to North Salem Road before I realized what was cooking.
Ah, bien. Here is Mr. Parrish. Safe and sound. I suggest the bomb be expected with great care. There may be sabotage.
Good idea.
Also, have all the doors of the building guarded.
Mr. Poirot, do I have to hang around here?
But of course, Johnny. We may require you for a return trip. Oh, Monsieur Parrish, here is your pilot to report.
We're ready now, Mr. Parrish.
Thank you. Oh, Captain, here comes my luggage. Will you see that it gets aboard?
Right, sir.
And be especially careful of that wooden crate. Well, goodbye, Inspector. I must admit, you've been extremely helpful, and I am much obliged.
Not at all. Goodbye, and happy landing.
Miss Fletcher.
Goodbye, sir.
And Monsieur Poirot. It's been a privilege to know you. I am only sorry I couldn't remain here to see you break the case.
But you have, monsieur.
I beg your pardon.
The case. It is broken. Inspector, meet Hilary Kent, the gentleman to whom you have just wished bon voyage.
Hilary Kent?
You're mad, Poirot.
Good gracious, I thought he was Parrish.
And that wooden crate, which I have so waited long to see, is not to be moved, Inspector.
Why not?
Because, mon ami, it contains the body of Jonathan Parrish. A charming restaurant, this, n'est-ce pas ça? The planes circling above give one the feeling of flying, eh?
This feeling I've got, if that's what flying gives you, keep me from it.
Ah, I too do not like murder. And it is such a horrible thing. Inspector Stevens, everything is taken care of.
Yes. They're taking Kent away now.
Then perhaps you will join us in a little supper?
No thanks, Poirot. I've got to head back. I just dropped over to ask a few questions.
For example?
Well, when did you first suspect that Kent was impersonating Parrish?
Almost from the start. When we entered the room and Monsieur Parrish, what do we find? An amazing paradox. On the one hand, we have a man who is an ardent stamp collector, whose album is in perfect order. Each stamp, each shade of a stamp, precisely in its proper place. Except the most valuable one of all, a Guatemala blue, reposing among American 3-cent stamps. Later, when I look at his socks, one green and one brown, I am certain this man in the room is colorblind.
And therefore not Parrish, the stamp collector.
More important than that, he cannot be Parrish, the currency expert, who is to select the colors of the shades for the new paper money, eh? Therefore, if the man in the room is not Parrish, who is he?
Obviously Hilary Kent.
Then why didn't you arrest him right away?
Because without a body one cannot prove a murder, and I felt sure Monsieur Kent would lead me to the body.
Then you weren't guarding him, you were watching him.
Precisely.
Well, you weren't so smart. When you let him out of your sight, he might have gotten away in the plane.
Not at all. When I called the airport, it was to make sure that the plane would not leave until I gave the word.
You know everything, don't you?
Some things are just obvious, mademoiselle. We can suppose Hilary can discover the nature of the mission Monsieur Parrish is engaged in. Ah, what a magnificent opportunity for a swindler. Perhaps the greatest in history. To remove Jonathan Parrish, fly to Europe as Parrish delivers the papers, the formulas, and the dies to the proper authorities. And then, at the moment just, counterfeits the new currency and reap a huge fortune.
Jumping codfish, the man must be mad.
Perhaps, mademoiselle, but he is also a genius, eh? He learns that Monsieur Parrish is at the Hotel Windsor, in the room 615. He knocks on the door, Parrish admits him in, and as once, strangled to death. Bien. But the body? Ah, that must be disposed of. Well, no one will find it. There is but one thing to do. Take the body to Europe in the very packing case which stands in the room.
Then you just guessed where the body was?
No, Inspector. There was proof in the room. You remember the second laundry box, which Hilary Kent asked for. This is for some special ink, he says to us, which I have just now purchased. Obviously, this is a lie. On such a mission, one does not purchase supplies at the last minute. Hence, I know these inks and dyes have been removed from some other box or crate to make room for the body.
Gracious, it's as plain as the nose on my face. But what about Laura Parrish?
Oh, I got that one figured out. She calls up to Kent and says, "Pop, I'm coming over." Of course, he can't allow that or the jig's up. So he gets down to the alley and eliminates her. Right, Poirot?
Exactly. As for poor Tremble, he has been with Parrish, and he knows him. When he knocks on the door and Kent appears, he demands to see Parrish. Kent kills him, and since the packing case is already occupied, drags him down to Miss Fletcher's room.
That was his big mistake. He should have never started up with me.
Excuse me for a minute. I think that's the ward wagon pulling in.
Mademoiselle, may I ask you a question of a personal nature?
Fire away.
Mademoiselle, you are not now engaged in a business enterprise.
No.
Are you fluent with the shorthand and the typewriter?
Why, yes.
Bon, mademoiselle. I find you both intelligent and amusing. A very rare combination in a woman. Moreover, I am in great need of a secretary with your superb qualifications.
Why, Mr. Poirot?
Oh, you do not yet employ the little grey cells to the best advantage. Nevertheless, if you are interested, I am willing
no,
to...
Mr. Poirot, for 10 years, I've been devouring detective stories, and you ask me if I'm interested. Chief, you've got a secretary.
Well, Poirot, they've taken Kent away now. I guess that winds up the case.
Not quite, Inspector. Tell me, where does Monsieur Kent reside?
We found a lease on him in an apartment in Gramercy Park.
That is a good neighborhood?
Oh, swell. It's right in the heart of the city. But why do you ask?
I do not think that Monsieur Kent will need an apartment for some time. But I do. You see, my friends, it is as I have said. To find an apartment in New York City is the essence of simplicity. One has only to solve 2 murders.
Be sure to listen next week when Agatha Christie's American famous mystery writer brings you her favorite detective, Hercule Poirot, in the case of the murder by the sea. Good night, everyone.
Bromo Seltzer and Jello Pudding present The Adventures of Ellery Queen. Good evening, I'm Ernest Chappelle. Tonight, we bring you another thrilling adventure with Ellery Queen, the celebrated gentleman detective, in person. Ellery Queen again gives you a chance to match wits with him as he relates another story of a crime he alone unravels. Then, at the point where he was able to guess the mystery, he stops the play, gives you a chance to guess the criminal's name. In the studio tonight, we have as our guests Mr. George R. Crowley, Superintendent of the New York, New Haven, and Hartford Railroad Police Force, and Mr. F. Beverly Kelly, Director of Radio Publicity for the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey combined shows. Mr. Crowley and Mr. Kelly have accepted Ellery Queen's challenge to solve the mystery before the solution is revealed. And now, Ellery Queen, Master Detective and your host for the next half hour.
Good evening. In tonight's story, we run across one of the boldest and most dastardly murders in our memory. A murder on a speeding train. And among our suspects are included a giant, a dwarf, and a fortune teller. I call it The Adventure of the Circus Train.
I'm sure glad the Chicago case is wrapped up, Inspector.
Yes, Velie. It'll be good to get back to New York. Ellery, got our tickets?
Yes, Dad.
Ever know Ellery to forget anything?
Here's our Pullman. Ah, who's this?
I'm the station master. May I see your tickets?
Well, what's wrong?
What's up?
Sorry, Mr. Kane. The Army's requisitioned all available space on this train. Your reservations are canceled.
Oh
dear.
How about the next train, Station Master?
Well, the earliest accommodations available are in a special section of the 11:59 tonight, Mr. Kane. It has 3 compartments left.
We'll take him.
I'd better tell you about it first, sir. That section's carrying Marcus Mammoth Show, the Midwest Circus outfit.
Oh, that ought to be fun.
You mean we have to travel with tigers and elephants and get sawdust in our hair?
Not quite, miss. Your accommodations would be in the end car. It's an old compartment car, with a small lounge and bar at the rear. Mr. Marco himself travels in that car, and his business manager, John Brady.
Well, we certainly don't object to traveling with Mr. Marco and Mr. Brady, Station Master.
But they're not the only ones in that car, sir.
Look, if I gotta double up with a talking snake, I'll walk to New York.
Who are the others?
Well, there's Goliath. He's 8 foot tall.
Goliath, the circus giant?
Yes, miss. Then there's Pinky. She's a dwarf. And Madame Zara, she's the circus fortune teller. They're nice folks. Been with Marco's Circus a long time. But I thought I'd tell ya.
Ellery, ever since I was a kid, I've had a yen to travel with the circus. What do you say?
Well, we don't mind one bit, Station Master.
Okay, Mr. Queen. I'll fix it. Ought to be an interesting trip.
Boy, this is solid comfort.
My, this lounge back here is awfully cozy, Ellery.
Yes, we should be pulling out soon, Nikki.
Mr. Marco, I hope we're not putting you out in any way.
Oh, can't expect normal conditions in wartime, Inspector. Edward?
Yes, sir.
Edward, set him up.
Yes, sir.
We're having a little celebration, folks.
Oh, in that case, maybe we ought to get out of the lounge and go to our compartments, Mr. Marco.
Yes, we don't want to spoil any plans you have.
No, I won't hear of it. Be mighty proud you'd all join me, in fact.
Well, if you insist.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, John?
Yes?
Say, did you tell him all about it?
Oh, I left the telling to you, Mark.
Folks, meet John Brady, my business manager.
Howdy, folks.
Good day.
Nice to meet you.
And this is Long Joe Stebbins, professionally known as Mr. Goliath. Hello.
How do you do?
How are you, Mr. Goliath?
Madame Zara, the crystal gazer under the big top.
How do you do?
Hello.
Pleasure to meet you, madam.
And Pinky, 44 years old, and you can put him in your vest pocket.
Any friend of Mr. Marco's is a friend of mine.
Cheers, cheers.
Cheers.
Edward, pass the flowing bowl. Pass it around, that's it.
You know, I was just thinking that...
Thank you, Edward. Well, you 3 must be wondering what this is all about.
Yeah,
Yes,
we are.
As you know, I've been in show business for over 50 years. Well, Marco's getting too old to run a circus.
No, please.
Oh, I know, but I am. Needs younger blood. But I've just sold Marco Mammoth's show to John Brady here.
What?
Yeah, it's a fact.
Well, John, here's your bill of sale. Whole works. Signed, sealed, and delivered.
Well, thanks, Mark. And here's my advance payment in cash. $30,000.
By thunder, Goliath, will you look at that? 3 $10,000 bills.
I ain't ever seen so much money, Captain Pinky.
Money means trouble. I smell trouble.
I smell an Indiana farm and rest for my old bones, Zara.
Board!
Well, folks, drink up, drink up.
To your good health, Mr. Marco.
Ah, thank you.
1 minute to midnight, and we're leaving on the dot.
How about a song for Mr. Marco? For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow. That's what he can't deny.
Well, it's getting pretty late, Maestro. How's about we hit the hay?
I suppose we may as well, Sergeant.
What's bothering you, Ellery? Why do you want to come out here on the front platform of the car?
Clear my head, Dad. There was an atmosphere in the lounge I didn't like.
You mean them expressions of gimme gimme on the face of the giant, the dwarf, and Madame Zara?
Oh, that's only natural, son. These circus people don't see $10,000 bills every day.
Not only circus people.
Gentlemen!
What's the matter, Porter?
I was just cleaning up my bar in the lounge, sir.
Yes?
And I got the bell signal from Mr. Marcus' compartment.
Spit the pebbles out of your mouth, Edward.
I rang the bell. There was no answer. I tried the door. It was unlocked. I opened the door and I saw...
Speak up, Edward.
I saw...
The man is scared to death, Dad. Let's go see for ourselves. Come on. Here's Mr. Marco's compartment. Dad, look!
Marco!
His head!
Bashed in.
Murder!
And there, ladies and gentlemen, you have the beginning of our story. We'll be back in just a moment to tell you more. But first, Ernest Chappelle with a mystery of his own.
And it bids fair to be as baffling as any mystery Ellery has been up against. By the way, folks, what's your batting average? Mrs. Neely Jarvie of Lakewood, Ohio is frank to admit that she and her family haven't piled up a very imposing score of correct deductions. But she says they still get a big kick out of trying to decide who done it. Ah, good for you, Mrs. Jarvie. That's what we like to hear. And here's something else we like to hear. But suppose I let you folks have it in Mrs. Jarvie's own words.
We are never without bromo seltzer in our home, and not long ago, when I became a volunteer nurse at our local hospital, I had just one more reason to be grateful for bromo seltzer's quick, effective relief. After my first evening of routine floor work, I came home with nerves on edge and a bad headache brought on by nervous excitement. Well, as soon as I got to the house, I took a bromo seltzer, and oh, what a relief! I'm not so nervous and excited about my volunteer work as I was at first, but I know now that I can rely on bromo seltzer whenever I have a common sick headache like that again.
Well now, there you have a mighty fine piece of advice from a lady who ought to know. So the next time you have a common sick headache, try bromo seltzer. I bet you'll feel the same as Mrs. Jarvie about it. And say, we'd like to hear from all of you about your bromo seltzer experiences. Just send your letters to Ellery Queen, care of the station to which you are listening. And now, back to our story. It's a short time after the discovery of old Mr. Marco's body. The car has been locked front and rear. Nikki has been awakened.
But Inspector, how did it happen?
That's what we've got to figure out, Nikki. Ellery, Velie, and I were standing on the front platform from the time the party in the lounge here broke up. And we know no one from the forward cars came into our car, or left it.
And the two conductors were sitting at the end of the lounge near the rear platform, Nikki, checking their tickets.
And both conductors say that no one got into the car through the back.
So Mr. Marco must have been murdered by someone in this car.
That's the size of it, Nikki.
But who? Which one?
The two conductors alibi each other, and they both alibi the porter.
So the killer must be one of the 4 circus people.
That nice old man. Why?
Don't you remember Brady handing Marco 3 $10,000 bills in front of our very eyes, Nikki?
And they're not in his wallet now or anywhere in Mr. Marco's compartment.
He was bumped off of that 30 grand, Miss P.
Killer probably rapped on Marco's door? Marco let him in?
Visitor assaulted the old man, stole the money, and left Marco for dead.
But he didn't die right off. He managed to ring the porter's bell and ring it before dying.
What was the weapon, Inspector?
A man's shoe.
What?
Yes, a shoe.
A shoe big enough to ship freight in, Miss Porter.
A man's shoe. Size 22, Nikki.
Size 22? But a shoe that size, it must be the giant. Goliath must have killed Mr. Marco.
And used his own shoe, Miss Porter. And, to top it off, left it in Marco's room for us to find?
No killer would be so simple-minded, Nikki. The big boy's being framed.
Only question is, by who?
Well, Dad, we better start asking questions.
Yes. Velie?
Yeah?
Call them out of their compartments, one at a time. While we're tackling each one, you search his compartment for that dough.
Okay, Inspector.
Well, son, this case is a cinch. Marco was killed for the 30 grand. So when we find the cash, we find the killer. Oh, Mr. Goliath.
Ooh.
Sorry the sergeant had to wake you.
What time is it, for criminy's sake?
Ellery, he's hobbling.
You'd hobble too, Nikki, if you were wearing only one shoe.
How come you got on only one shoe, Mr. Goliath?
Oh, darned if I know, Inspector. When I went to bed, I put my shoes in that little doojigger on the floor of the compartment.
I know.
It's sort of a closet, you know, that the porter can open from the outside and take out your shoes and shine them during the night.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Well, sir, just now Mr. Velez comes fetching me, and I look for my shoes in that shoe thing, and doggone if somebody ain't stole one of my shoes. What am I gonna do? It's the only pair I got.
We hit Pittsburgh in the morning, Mr. Goliath, so we'll send out for a pair of shoes for you then.
Huh? There ain't a shoe store in Pittsburgh or anywhere else carrying size 22. Oh, Inspector, what do you want me for?
Come into Marco's room, Goliath, and I'll show you.
Sure.
Ellery, I can't look.
Stay out in the corridor, Nikki.
Well, where's Mr. Marco, Inspector? And what's under that piece of newspaper?
This?
Mm-hmm.
Your shoe, Mr. Goliath.
Well, I'll be. What's blood doing all over it? And what's under the blanket?
Mr. Marco, he was murdered tonight. With your shoe.
Murdered? Ugh.
What happened in there?
Goliath fainted.
Ellery, revive this 8-foot He-Man.
Right, Dad.
And Nikki, call John Brady in here.
Here's Mr. Brady, Ellery, and he's hobbling too.
Somebody stole one of my shoes.
From your shoe compartment, Mr. Brady?
That's right. I found 2 shoes in it, all right, but one of them's a woman's. Here, look. Hey, what's going on? Mark, you in there?
Just a moment, Mr. Brady. Nikki, is this woman's shoe Mr. Brady just found in the shoe receptacle yours?
No, Inspector. Must be Madame Zara's.
Nikki, you'd better go fetch the Zara woman.
All right.
Suppose you go in now, Mr. Brady, and see Mr. Marco.
I don't get all this. Marco! Mark.
Put the blanket back, Ellery.
Right, Dad.
But who? Why?
The $30,000 you handed Marco tonight, Mr. Brady. That's why.
Inspector, Madame Zara's hopping mad about her shoe, and I mean hopping.
I don't care for jokes. If you please, Mr. Brady. Is this your shoe? Just found it in my shoe compartment, and one of mine is gone.
Let me see. Yes, Zara, that's my shoe. Here's yours.
Thank you. What was I awakened in middle of night for? Has anything happened to Mr. Marco?
Why do you ask that, Madame Zara?
Yes, of course. Mr. Marco is lying under that blanket. He is dead, isn't he?
Yes, Madame Zara. Look.
Should have warned him.
You knew Marco was going to be knocked off?
Before retiring, I looked into my crystal ball. Never lies. I saw old man lying there, dead. Now I realize it was Mr. Marco, an old man with blood on his head.
Don't mind her. She always talks like this.
You saw this in your crystal ball, you say?
With blood on his head.
Did you also see Marco's murderer in your magic ball, Madame Zara?
No. But I could.
Really?
If conditions were right? Yes, Mr. Queen.
Hey, cut that out. Seeing murderers in a hunk of glass, Zara, go back to your room. You too, Mr. Brady.
Very well, Inspector.
Oh, this is terrible.
Crystal ball. Where's Velie? Why in the name of Houdini isn't he back with that 30 grand?
Haven't you forgotten someone, Inspector?
Who, Nikki?
Pinky, the dwarf.
Oh, the dwarf couldn't have done it. She's too tiny.
She could have stood on something, Dad, and that big heavy shoe would be a murderer's weapon, even in the hands of a child.
Mr. Marco? What's all this excitement about?
It's Pinky. Hello.
What the devil's going on? Why is everybody rushing around like crazy?
It's an unusual trip, Pinky. By the way, anybody swipe your shoes?
My shoes? Heck no. What would anybody want with my shoes? Dad Blastall, what's happened?
Mr. Marco's been murdered, Pinky.
Mr. Marco? Murdered? Murdered?
Oh dear, she's crying.
Dwarfs, giants, crystal balls.
Inspector?
Velie. Well, where'd you find the money?
I didn't find it, Inspector.
You didn't?
I searched every compartment. No dough.
Could you find your head?
Huh?
Where are we now?
A half hour out of Fort Wayne, Indiana.
At the next stop, wire Pittsburgh to have some detectives waiting for us when we pull in tomorrow morning. And give this car and everybody in it vacuum cleaning, Velie, even if the Pittsburgh boys have to go to New York with us.
Very well, sir.
Crystal ball. I'll show you how to solve this case, Ellery. Find that money, and you've got Marco's murderer.
Philadelphia, Philadelphia.
Oh, Philadelphia.
What's keeping Velie and those Pittsburgh men? Still searching after 10 hours. The money must be in this car.
Dad, I've got it.
Where the money is, son?
No. I mean the explanation for the shoe mix-up.
Huh?
Well, the killer wanted a weapon that couldn't be traced to him, so he stole one of Zara's shoes from her receptacle.
But realized it was too light as a weapon.
So he rifled Brady's shoe receptacle.
And then decided he wouldn't use either one's. He'd use Goliath's shoe. That would make a weapon. So he stole Goliath's shoe.
And in putting back Mr. Brady's and Madame Zara's,
he made a mistake and mixed them up.
Inspector Queen?
Huh? Oh, Goliath.
How much longer do I have to walk around in my socks? I want my shoe.
We're checking it for fingerprints, Mr. Goliath. You'll have it back by the time we reach New York.
Would you wash the blood off?
Sure, Mr. Goliath.
Thanks, Inspector.
Board!
Ellery, I've made up my mind. I'm arresting Zara.
Well, why Zara, Dad?
She knew Marco was dead. The only one who did. How could she have known unless she bumped him off?
Well, that is a puzzle, how she knew. Dad, she claims she might see the criminal in her crystal ball. Why not call her bluff?
see whom she accuses.
That's an idea. Okay, we'll try it.
I have a hunch Madame Zara has something up her sleeve. And it isn't a crystal ball.
Extra, extra, extra good news. The makers of Jell-O have discovered a way to give you rich, luscious chocolate pudding far more easily and far more economically than ever before. With the new Jell-O chocolate pudding powder, you can make old-fashioned pudding smooth, creamy, and chocolatey, just like the ones Grandmother used to make in the good old days. Now you can have them again, and this is all you have to do. Just combine the contents of a package of Jell-O chocolate pudding with some milk and the top of your double boiler, letting it cook until it becomes smooth and thick. When the mixture has cooled, serve it in a sherbet glass, and you'll have enough for 6 helpings, and that means 6 happy people. Jell-O chocolate pudding is so simple, so inexpensive, and so downright delicious that you mustn't delay trying it. Ask your grocer for Jell-O chocolate pudding, and if he hasn't put it in stock yet, be sure he orders it for you. Remember the name, Jell-O chocolate pudding.
Madam Zara, why is it you people can't ever do anything in the light?
We consult other worlds. Light is a disturbance. Must have darkness.
Hocus pocus. Conductor?
Yes?
Switch the lights off here in the lounge, but tell Sergeant Velie to have both ends of the car watched.
Yes, sir.
You will all join hands.
This is silly, Ellery. She knows it's silly too, Nikki. Zara's trying to tell us something, using the seance as a cloak.
Must have quiet, or my crystal will tell me nothing. Come, appear. You who shed Marco's blood, appear in crystal of truth. Appear in crystal of truth.
Ellery, it's getting a faint glow. Phosphorus, Nikki. Quiet.
One who spills blood of old men. He takes shape. His face, it comes out of a mist. In a moment now. I see him! I see him!
Much obliged, Madam Zara. Who done it?
Spiller of blood is...
Madam Zara, why do you stop?
Zara?
What's going on? What's going on?
Conductor, turn on those lights.
Yes, sir.
Ellery, do you think she... Here are the lights. Zara? She's sitting so still.
Zara, come out of that now.
She's in one of her trances.
Oh, good. I thought she was dead, Mr. Brady.
Gosh, Pinky, so did I.
Wake up, Zara.
Oh,
thank goodness.
Whose face did you see in that thing?
must not tell you. Not yet.
Oh, and why not yet?
Time is not right. Perhaps later.
Madam Zara, you're a first-class fake.
Fake? I'm not gonna stay around here and be insulted.
All of you, back to your compartments.
I wonder if they're ever going to catch them.
Now that's that, Ellery.
Oh, Inspector?
Oh, Velie. Well.
Boy, am I pooped.
Find the money, Sergeant?
Those Pittsburgh guys and me, we've gone over this car 3 times. No dough.
What? Velie!
Look, Inspector, we tore those blank compartments practically apart. You saw how we searched this lounge, the bar, the porter's pantry, the light fixtures, the radio, the Well, do you want me to go on?
Well, how about the people, Sergeant?
Yeah, head to toe. Clothes, luggage, cigarettes. We even examined Zara's crystal ball. Oh, we searched the 2 conductors and the porter too. No dough.
Velie, you're a crook's idea of Santa Claus.
Huh?
Start all over again. I want that $30,000 before we reach New York.
We're in. Ends of the line. Ellery, where do you suppose that stolen money is?
I can't imagine, Nikki. Poor Dad.
That must be the inspector's own squad waiting on the platform.
Now, is everybody here?
Yep. Brady, Goliath, Pinky.
Where's Madam Hocus Pocus? That Zara woman.
She isn't here, Inspector.
But she must know we're in. The train stopped.
What's she up to now? Velie, get her out here.
Okay. Hey, Zara. Inspector?
Nikki, don't look.
Dead. Zara's been bumped off.
Her head was smashed in with her crystal ball.
Velie, hold everybody.
Right. Nobody leave.
Oh, who'd have thought?
But why Madame Zara?
It's clear now. We wondered how Zara knew about Marco's being dead. Don't you see? Zara must have spied on the murderer in the corridor last night. She must have seen the killer go into Marco's room with Goliath's shoe.
Then why didn't she tell?
Because she had her own axe to grind, Nikki. The seance was a veiled threat to the killer. She was warning him she could give him away if she chose.
So that he'd split the 30 grand with her. But instead, he split her head open.
Wait a minute. Of course. Now I see it all. We've been blind.
Ellery?
Now all you armchair detectives have the opportunity to put your finger on the murderer. Who do you think it is? In a moment, you'll learn what the correct solution is. But first, the search for an honest man has come to an end in the person of our own Ernest Chappelle.
Oh me, what Ellery undoubtedly means is that I'm not gonna make a single claim for Bromo Seltzer that isn't absolutely true. I'm not gonna tell you that it'll do all your errands and finish your housework for you. But I do say there's just nothing better than Bromo Seltzer for common, sick headaches. You know the kind. Pounding, head pain, jumpy nerves, upset stomach. Well, Bromo Seltzer fights headaches like that 3 ways. You get effective relief and quickly feel more like your old self. So, be prepared. Keep Bromo Seltzer handy where you work, as well as at home.
Alright, inside. Come on. Boys, no one gets in till this is over. Alright, sit down, you people. Okay, Inspector?
Here's the way this case stacks up. We know the killer wanted a weapon that couldn't be traced to him. So what did he pick? Somebody else's shoe. Mark that. Somebody else's shoe. So whatever shoe or shoes he stole last night belonged to innocent people, not to the murderer.
What do you mean?
Makes sense to me, Ellery.
Hush, Nikki, I want to follow this.
Whose shoes were stolen last night? Madame Zara's, so she's innocent. Mr. Brady's, so he's innocent. And finally Goliath, so he's innocent. Who's left who could be the guilty person? Only Pinky.
What? Oh no, I wouldn't see that.
Alright, Pinky. Where'd you hide that dough?
But I didn't kill Mr. Marco.
Dad, haven't you left out one possibility?
What possibility, son?
That the murderer wanted you to think just what you do think. That the crime was committed by the one person whose shoe was not involved.
He deliberately involved all the shoes but Pinky's.
He was framing Pinky?
I'm afraid so, Dad. The big point of this case is one you made yourself repeatedly. That to find the killer, we had to find the money he stole.
But we didn't find the money, son.
And why didn't we?
Because it wasn't in the car.
But it was in the car, Dad. It had to be.
Ellery, the car was practically demolished. Everybody and everything in it was searched.
That can't be, Dad, or the $30,000 would have been found. Obviously, then, one place was not searched. So that place is where the missing money must be.
What place? Where didn't we search, Maestro?
Well, did you search the weapon, Sergeant?
The which?
The weapon that killed Marco?
Who'd ever think of searching the weapon?
Exactly. That's what the killer figured, too. That we wouldn't dream the hiding place of the money was the very shoe which bashed poor Marco's head in.
But, Ellery, what good did that do him? How could he expect to get hold of the money again? That shoe was a murder weapon, held by the police.
Therefore, Nikki, the murderer could only be one person, the owner of the shoe to whom it would eventually be returned.
Eventually? Goliath asked for his shoe even before we reached Penn Station. And I just gave it to him. Goliath, take that murder shoe off.
No, you're wrong. I didn't do it.
Oh, yeah?
I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Come on, Dad. Get that shoe.
I didn't do it. I swear I didn't do it.
Get this tugboat shoe off you.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Velie, tear out that shoe lining.
Yes, sir. And here they are.
The 3 $10,000 bills.
Clever crime, Goliath, because who'd be foolish enough to use his own shoe as a murder weapon and then leave it behind for to be found? You knew we'd believe you innocent. You knew we'd therefore return the shoe with its hidden money back to you.
But there's one thing Goliath didn't know. He didn't know he was traveling with Ellery, the giant killer.
And there, ladies and gentlemen, you have the solution to the mystery. I want to thank Mr. George R. Crowley and Mr. F. Beverly Kelly for appearing as guest armchair detectives this evening. And we have for both Mr. Crowley and Mr. Kelly a personal gift from Bromo Seltzer, an autographed copy of my new mystery novel, There Was an Old Woman, just out this week, and a subscription to Ellery Queen's Mystery Magazine.
Well, Ellery, I certainly enjoyed that story. I bet you can't top it next week.
I'll take that bet, Chappie. And I'll tell you what it's about in just a moment.
Okay, that gives me time enough to tell you how to fight headaches 3 ways with Bromo-Seltzer. You see, common sick headaches often affect you 3 ways. Pain in the head, jangling nerves, and upset stomachs. But Bromo-Seltzer quickly relieves that pain in your head. Bromo-Seltzer helps settle jumpy nerves. Bromo-Seltzer helps settle upset stomachs. So there, see what I mean? 3-way misery, 3-way relief. With Bromo-Seltzer. Use it only as directed on the label. For frequent or persistent headaches, see your doctor. For common sick headaches, do as millions of others do. Use tried and true. Bromo-Seltzer. Well now, Ellery, my lad, how's for next week? You got something nice and cheerful?
Very, Chappie. In fact, it's a story about a perfect gentleman. That is, perfect except for one little obsession.
Yeah? And what's that?
He wants to murder his wife.
Pleasant guy.
So, Chappie, you'd better listen again next Saturday for the adventure of The Human Weapon.